Alrighty, shall we?
Yep.
Let's do it. Welcome back to the Colac Herald's Game On Finals Edition. Week 3 of finals, week 2 of Colac Tigers finals. We've got a big game this weekend, Lou. Colac versus Joey's St. Joseph's. 1-1 in the home and away season. Round 5, Joey's got over the top pretty comfortably. Round 13, Colac returned the favour and showed that they can beat this Joey's side. And last week they had a really impressive win against Newtown, starting really well and, kind of set up the game from there. Luke.
Yeah, as you said, it was a great start and led by Adam Garner. He was super in that first quarter, kicked 3 goals, so he was just dominant. And it was really interesting for Colac. They played 3 tolls up forward, which really stretched the Newtown defence. So it'd be interesting to see if they do that again this week against St. Joe's. It worked really well, so I don't see why they wouldn't go with that again. Yeah. Obviously, on the injury front, Jared Walters, he hurt his shoulder, so he looks like he will be out. He'll be probably touch and go to play it all this year, but could potentially come back later in the season if they can go deeper into September. Kane Smart hurt his ankle in that, I think it was early in the first quarter, but he played 2 more quarters with that injury. So Jason Armistead said he expected him to play this week, and Jack Skinner, he hurt his knee. He was laid out, so he's a bit of an unknown as of yet, but it'd be interesting to see if they bring him back in. Obviously, Ben McCarthy, he'll be back from suspension, so he's a massive boost for them. But yeah, I suppose for this game, what do you think is going to be crucial for the Tigers to be able to get over the line, do you think?
I mean, we've talked about it throughout the season. The Tigers like that contested brand of footy. From what we've seen and heard from the Joey's game is that it's very much more of a run and carry style.
They love getting the ball on the outside.
And,
really running and gunning, I suppose. That's the Joey's style of game.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, if the Tigers can keep it tight, keep it tough, you'd expect them to potentially repeat a round 13 performance.
Definitely.
We've now made it to the preliminary finals in the CDFNL, and boy oh boy is it an exciting matchup between the Colac Imperials and Lorne this weekend. Both games this season, between the two sides, Imps have actually gotten over the top in round 8 and round 17. So that is quite an interesting little tidbit, I guess, heading into this, especially for the defending champs.
Yeah, for sure. And I suppose a lot of people probably throughout the year thought this was going to be the grand final matchup. These two, they've been first and second all year, so it should be an absolute cracker. Obviously for the Colac Imps, it's hard to look past Bailey Scott. We mentioned him last week, but his influence is just massive for that side. He kicked 5 goals last week against Alvie. He kicked the Imps' first 5 goals of the game. So I suppose the question is, could we see Lorne potentially tag him? He's obviously, as I said, has such a big influence on the game. I think the last time they played, Harrison Taylor went to Scott and did a reasonably good job. But I suppose the one we could see is potentially Ed Kerno. How good would that be? Ed Kerno going to Bailey Scott, obviously a former AFL tagger. That could be a really interesting matchup if that was to happen. And Lorne assistant coach Bryce Vincent did float the idea that they could potentially look at doing that. So that would be a great matchup.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, one of the only guys that you could think could really stick with Scott in the competition.
Yeah, definitely.
And another boost, I guess, for Lorne was the return of Bailey van der Heuvel, playing in the forward line for his first game since round 6, I believe it was.
Yeah, he's been overseas and he come back last week. So he was a massive inclusion for them.
Yeah. Okay. And obviously, you've now got Bailey van der Heuvel up front, you've got Charlie Carton in the back line. The interchangeability between those two, being able to mix and match in both lines is a massive boost for the Dolphins.
Sure.
And so, that's a luxury that not a lot of teams have. With the Imps kind of struggling with their forward entries last week, it will be interesting to see how they play, knowing that, you're either going to have to go up against Ellicott and Van der Heuvel. And so it'll be interesting to see how they potentially work around that when going forward.
Yeah, for sure. They probably can't afford to kick the ball in high and long, otherwise that's really just going to suit McCartan or Van der Heuvel and the Lorne defence to a T. So it'd be interesting to see how they kind of work around that and how they score.
And now into our picks for the prelim. Imps, Lorne. Imps, the 2 wins in the home and away season. Lorne getting a bit of a boost with some big ins coming back later in the year. I'm going to go Lorne. I'm picking Lorne.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Lorne as well. I think their finals experience is obviously they won the flag last year, so it's gonna help a fair bit. I think I'm going to back Lorne. I think McCartan, Van der Heuvel getting another game.
Yeah, true.
He was probably a little bit rusty last week, but he will be huge in for them. So I'm gonna go with Lorne.
There we go, 2-0 to Lorne.
Now to CDFNL Netball in the preliminary final. It's Colac Imperials taking on Alvie. 1-1 in the head-to-head during the home and away season. And obviously, just a couple of weeks ago, we seen the Swans have a 14-goal win over the Imps, which was a pretty impressive performance in that qualifying final. So I suppose the question is, how do you think the Imps can turn that around and, I suppose, narrow down that deficit?
Yeah, it's a good question, Lou. I think starting off, Imps coach Chloe Gray said that, kind of walking into that first game against Alvie in the qualifying round, that they're outside of herself and Eliza Cahill, not a lot of the players in that Imps team have had a lot of finals experience. But after a good 13-goal win against Beale last week, she said, she could already see that confidence growing. You get these games under your belt quickly, you start to feel more comfortable, get things rolling. The big matchup, as we saw in the qualifying round, is Swans Ruby Bowers versus Kiara Foster. You've got one of the league leading goalers against potentially the best goalkeeper in the league. A big threat that Baz always seems to pose is her kind of vertical presence. And the Imps did find some inroads in the qualifying round by going over the top with that. But it's just, how can you find it consistently, I guess is the question. And also knowing that Chelsea Hillman is there as a bit of a sweeper. Sometimes she played a little, she gave Chloe Gray quite a little bit of space in the qualifying round. So how do you maybe pull Chelsea away from the matchup between Kiara and Ruby? See what happens there. Alvie limited the on-court threats as well for the Cats to basically to Foster and Cahill when they played in the Eliza Cahill when they played in the qualifying round. So you'd like to see some of the Imps players step up to kind of join those two that we've mentioned. They found more contributions last week with Chloe Gray, had a really great game against the Saints, Poppy Holland as well. But Alvie's ball security was pretty good against the Imps. So we need to see, or if you're an Imps fan, you need to see Shay Dennehy repeat her performance last week against the Saints, Ruby Kerr as well, some great intercept balls. But Isabel Scott's also going to have her hands pretty full with Hayley Foster. We saw that in the qualifying round. Hayley Foster has been on a roll all season, but the last couple of weeks especially, she's been really, really strong. So it'll be interesting to see what Scott's taken out of that matchup against Tess Blake last weekend and how she's going to apply that to Hayley.
Yeah, definitely. And a win for Alvie would make it 4 grand final appearances in a row. They've been so it's a bit of a dynasty. They've started there, and they will play Illawarra for the 4th time in a row if they can get a win. And for the Cats, for them to be the first time since 2015, so more than a decade since they've played in a grand final. So there's a lot on the line for both sides, obviously. What about tips, mate? Who have you kind of got for this week?
Oh, it's tough. I think the improvement that you saw from Imps last week showed that they're definitely in this contest, regardless of what happened in the qualifying round. Alvie were in that game against the Bombers until later in the fourth quarter, where the Bombers pushed through. I think I'm still going to lean Alvie, as you said, Lou. They're relying a bit on that dynastic experience, if you'd like to put it that way, a little bit like Lorne and the footy. I'm going to go with Alvie, but it'll be a closer game than the qualifying round.
Definitely, I'm going to go with Alvie as well. I think their experience, as you said, should shine through for them. But I agree. I think it will be a really close game, and it'll probably be a bit of a close one in that qualifying final. I'm expecting Imps to really push them this time around. Now for Tigers junior football, the Colac under-18 side will play off in the Division 2 AFL Barwon Grand Final this weekend against Barwon Heads, and they've had some great matchups with the Seagulls. They've 1-1 during the season. Obviously, it played each other a couple of weeks ago to get into the grand final, and Barwon Heads got that one done by 17 points. But they have beaten Barwon Heads this year, so I'm sure they'll take plenty of confidence into this game.
Definitely. I mean, it's something else to take a lot of confidence from. It's the second season that this under-18 side has had a team, and they're already in the grand final. That's a hell of an achievement in and of itself. Obviously, last weekend's performance against Port Arlington, the Tigers tallied up 20 goals. Which is the most they've had all season. It was their best defensive game all year. And what a time to do it, in all honesty. You partner that as well with one of the stronger defences in the league, and you're looking pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a stat here, one game in their last 6 where they've conceded more than 40 points, so that defence is really solid for them, and I'd say that's going to go a long way in helping them win this weekend.
That's it from Lou and myself for the finals edition of Game On. Quick shout out to the under-14 Rovers girls. They're the first junior side to reach grand final in the club's history, so massive achievement. They'll be taking on the Warrnambool Wolves this weekend, so hopefully they can bring it back and repeat that second half performance they had last weekend. And to everyone playing finals this weekend, from Lou and myself, best of luck to everyone, and we're excited to see what comes out of the matches. No,
Well,